He conquered more land than any man in history. His armies crushed empires, razed cities, and rewrote the maps of the world. But the most terrifying weapon Genghis Khan wielded wasn't a sword. It was fear. Today we uncover how Genghis Khan used psychological warfare to dominate nations without always lifting a blade. This is the untold story of mind games, deception, and terror. Chapter 1: The Shadow Before the Storm. Long before his horsemen thundered across the horizon, his legend arrived. Villages that had never seen a Mongol banner already trembled at the sound of his name. How? Through terror, calculated, curated, and deliberately spread. In Central Asia, Genghis Khan understood the value of psychological dominance. When his army decimated the Khwarezmian city of Nishapur, he didn't just destroy its walls. He let a few survivors flee, not as mercy, but as messengers of dread. Their tales of slaughter, of skull pyramids and cities set aflame, infected the minds of distant rulers. Every act of destruction was a performance. The goal wasn't just victory, it was to leave such a lasting scar that resistance elsewhere would crumble under the weight of anticipated doom. Cities like Balkh and Herat surrendered without a fight, convinced that submission was the only path to survival. In a pre-digital world, the Mongols mastered the viral spread of fear. Chapter 2: Deception and Misdirection. Genghis didn't need the largest army. He made it look like he did. He often divided his forces, sending smaller units in sweeping, scattered paths, confusing scouts and inflating the perceived size of his army. On the night before battle, his troops lit multiple fires, far more than necessary, creating the illusion of an overwhelming force. He deployed fake retreats, a Mongol specialty. The enemy would think the Mongols were fleeing, disorganized, panicked. In truth, it was bait. The pursuing army would chase, lose formation, and fall straight into a trap. During the Battle of Kalka River, the Mongols lured a massive Russ's force over 200 miles in retreat, only to annihilate them when they were exhausted and isolated. Even messengers were part of the strategy. Before invading a city, he would sometimes send scouts disguised as merchants to spread whispers of the Mongols' unstoppable wrath. The rumors were often more effective than catapults. Chapter 3: The Message is the Weapon. Each act of violence was a statement, each spared city a footnote in his psychological doctrine. The Mongols practiced a calculated policy: surrender and live, resist and be erased. When the city of Merv resisted, it was obliterated. Chroniclers estimate over 700,000 killed, a number debated, but its emotional weight unquestioned. In contrast, cities like Bukhara, which opened their gates early, were treated with relative leniency. The Khan would often deliver speeches to the vanquished, reinforcing the idea that obedience saved lives. The contrast between total annihilation and strategic mercy reinforced his reputation. Over time, rulers began to see resistance as suicide. Entire kingdoms negotiated submission without firing a single arrow. He turned diplomacy into theater, making a show of sparing cities only to strengthen the horror of those he destroyed. Chapter 4: Intelligence over Strength. Before his conquests, he conquered information. Genghis Khan built an extraordinary network of spies and informants. His military campaigns were preceded by years of reconnaissance. He knew what rivers his enemies drank from, what gods they worshipped, and which noble families were ready to betray each other. His use of intelligence was surgical. He would exploit rivalries between tribes or factions, striking alliances with discontented nobles or promising rewards to those who switched sides. In the Khwarezmian Empire, he manipulated internal dissent to weaken defenses before the first arrow was loosed. His YAM system, a relay network of riders and way stations, allowed for lightning-fast communication across his empire. This not only made coordination easier, but reinforced the image that he was everywhere, all at once. Information in his world was ammunition. Chapter 5, the brand of invincibility. He wasn't just a conqueror, he was a myth-maker. Genghis Khan cultivated an image of being unstoppable, even divine. He would send letters to enemy rulers, not requesting surrender, but demanding it, laced with threats so vivid they felt like prophecy. He allowed and even encouraged stories of supernatural powers, that he could control the weather, that he was born of the sky god Tengri, that he could see through deception and strike with divine wrath. Even after death, his mystique endured. His burial site remains unknown. His funeral procession slaughtered anyone who saw it to preserve the secret. This act alone became part of the legend. By the end of his reign, many rulers feared not the man, but the myth he had become. And that myth marched faster than his cavalry. The empire of the mind. He ruled millions, not just through conquest, but through carefully engineered fear. Where others built empires through brute force, Genghis Khan rewired the psychology of war. He understood that perception, once weaponized, could bend nations. Cities collapsed before battle began. Enemies laid down arms not because they were weak, but because they were convinced resistance meant extinction. He built one of the largest empires in history, not just with steel and horse, but with symbols, shadows, and silence. Strategists study his campaigns. Psychologists study his fear tactics. And historians trace the echoes of his shadow in the chronicles of resistance and collapse. He didn't just conquer with the armies, he conquered the imagination. And in doing so, he became immortal. Fear can win wars, and Genghis Khan knew it better than anyone. If you found this story eye-opening, subscribe for more forgotten strategies from history's most brilliant minds.